Toasty. Hey man, welcome back to Man Time. Today's episode, I'm talking about the US Stove Ashley 3200 Bosel Gang. I've got it installed here. I've got a straight 6-inch pipe all the way straight up through the roof with the proper offset off of the back wall, although that really doesn't matter. There's no heat coming off the back of this thing. Anyways, let's talk about it today. Welcome to Man Time. So, I've had a lot of comments about the 3200 here, and I've seen prices ranging from 1100, 1200 to up to 1500 for this model. But again, my video, I saw it at Lowe's or Home Depot for, man, 1800, 2000, something like that, something crazy. I ended up getting it for right around that 1300. And if you're going with the US Stove brand, it's right around that same price. And I've seen even cheaper at Tractor Supply where you can find them on sale. But I've had this installed and running for about a week now. And so far I'm pretty happy with it. Although a lot of the comments that said I'm going to have to be feeding this thing like crazy were right. It chews through wood. I'm in a 6,000 square foot building here. I've got it partially enclosed in where I've got 1,500 feet that this thing is primarily responsible for, and it does a pretty good job. But as you can see, I don't have any insulation on the walls yet. That is going to be once I get it fully shelled in the living space to include all of the tongue and groove for the ceiling, and then of course all of the perimeter walls. Then I'll just have them come in and spray the entirety of the 3,000 square foot living space to include a middle wall that's going to separate the two halves and the split system with the HVAC. That way each half is insulated, and I'm going to try to seal it as good as possible. But this thing has been doing a really good job. It throws some heat, and I put the flue dampener in there just because, I mean, you're doing it, you might as well just throw it in there. So I'm 2 foot off of the exit of the wood stove here. Of course, I've got my temperature gauge there. We're running right now just over 400 in the flue temp. And this thing, it's rare that it will get past the 600 mark. But it also is hard to kind of damp down, right? So the controls here on the front, the first one here is for the air inlet on the bottom. The one in the middle here is for the air inlet through the baffles on the top. And you can almost completely close both of those, and it runs almost the same as if they're, you know, opened halfway up. I mean, there is some difference, right? I mean, you can run the temperature up to 600 having this thing wide open. But even closing them all the way, like it says in the instruction, for a slow burn, it runs hot. It'll run up to around the 400 to 500 mark there, and then just chew through the wood. So I've had it running here now for about a half an hour, and this is starting from just a few coals on the bottom and some smaller wood just kind of clumped in the middle of it there. With a crisscross pattern, and starting it off of those coals. But it's doing pretty good, and I like it. I like the heat that it produces. Produces really good heat coming off of the front glass here and off of the top. Off of the side, you get about 6 to 8 inches of a good heat source coming off, but it's nice and cool coming out like a foot. So it is actually pretty good stove that produces a lot of good heat. I'm a little disappointed about the amount of heat coming off the back of it. It says to space it off of the wall 18 inches, so I've got 18 inches to where the studs are going to be setting up against the purling there. And it is cool. It's much cooler than the sides on the back of it there. So, I mean, I'm not going to recommend you put it any closer, but there's no fear of running a like reclaimed barnwood right behind it at 18 inches. You know, that's kind of how it's designed, I think. You know, so you can basically have dry wood ready to burn 18 inches behind it and no fear of catching, right? So I ran it up. I've got it through the plywood up there. I've got about a 2-inch air gap, and then I've got a cone that comes down onto the wood, and then another one, of course, going up and out through the top. Of course, I'm within about 2.5 feet of the edge of the building there, so it doesn't need to run up, you know, ridiculous. And check your, you know, local specs on that. But yeah, if you're running it near the peak, you have to run it up so high. But if you're so far off of the peak, the minimum clearance there, I think, is, I don't know, 5 feet or something. That's not too bad. So everything is to spec and as designed per state requirements. But yeah, it runs really good. It's able to keep the building somewhat warm, at least temperature maintained. I've got both my huge industrial wood stove and this one going. I had some visitors come and stay, and they've got a sleeping area right over here, and it was good enough to keep it warm-ish in here with temperatures down into the 30s even. But yeah, with insulation in the building, it's going to be really, really amazing. You know, we were all kind of huddled around the wood stove when it got down into the 40s and 30s, where the building is just so open, especially with the roll-up doors. There's just a huge air gap, so not much you can do there until you get it insulated. But so far, pretty happy with the wood stove. And as far as the price tag, $1,200 versus the $3,500 plus for the big Blaze King that's a similar size. There really isn't too many wood stoves that are above 3,000 square feet, and especially US made or Canada made, that can compete price wise. As far as the wood efficiency and burning efficiency, man, I would sure hope that 3 times more expensive stove is going to do a lot better. But so far I'm pleased with this one. It's working well, and if I had it to do over again, I probably would have made the same purchase, just being a US Stove Company brand from Tractor Supply, and hopefully when it's on sale and under $1,200. So there you go, update on the 3200 from US Stove Company. I feel like it's a pretty good stove. There you go. That's going to do it for today on Man Time. If you like this type of stuff, make sure to thumbs up and subscribe. Whatever you do, get out there, have you some man time too.